How's that?
Oh, there you go. Good to finally see you, man. It's
Hey.
crazy. I still had no idea what you looked like up until
Oh,
now.
really? There's no video previously?
No, it's just always just a name on the screen, Neil Glines.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
Yeah. I never know what you look like. All I know is you send leads to this guy, and he prints money. So
Apparently.
no, no.
Yeah,
Dude,
so it's
yeah, thanks so much. You've been absolutely crushing it, and I have to say, I'm very impressed with the results.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I said, I'm still, my response time sometimes is not as quick as I would like it to be. I mean,
yeah,
your leads are coming through super fast. I mean, there's
yeah.
been two that have already come through in the last half hour.
Mm.
And I'll return those calls shortly. But that's something I tried. We just got done moving, so we moved not too far, but all the it was still moving,
Yeah,
and so I fell behind a little bit, over the weekend. The closure rate has been better. I'm going for it a little harder towards the end of the conversation,
yeah.
and
How-
it's
Feedback that we worked on, some of the things that we worked on, has that actually been helpful?
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Remote.
absolutely, yeah. Overcome the objections. The lady I booked with the motorhome today, they're on a trip now, and then they have another trip in December. So I said, well, why don't we set something up for middle of November? Let's go like November 15th. That way you're on the books. We'll get you set. I just need a credit card, hold your spots because we're going to block off 2 days for you. And she goes, yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, perfect. So
So
the delayed payment close, like we talked about.
I'm sorry.
So like the delayed payment close we talked about, like
Yep.
we'll put it now for this date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And like I said, I give you props. That is a tremendous number of leads. I don't know if that's average for you, but that's a lot. I mean, I think we've been just over 2 weeks. I think we started 2 weeks ago yesterday.
Yeah,
Um, so 85 leads, I think is what. Well, now it's 87 because another two came in. So
yeah,
87 leads in 2 weeks. That is a lot, and a lot of them are quality leads. Good vehicles. We've got two Raptors coming in tomorrow. Nice cars.
yeah,
Nice vehicles.
yeah.
So there's like I said, as far as on your end, no,
Uh,
there's nothing else I can think of at this point. On my end, it's just a matter of really, I'm working a little bit more than I have been, which is great. Great, I mean, I think we got like $7,800 booked already for next month for
uh,
November, and it's been a long time since I've had that. So I'm thrilled in that capacity. If I'm going to spend a bunch of time on the phone and I'm going to stress myself out because that's what I do,
mhm.
and the payoff is we have a lot of work booked. You
Yeah.
know, so
And when you say it's been a long time since you had that, what do you mean by that exactly?
as far as booking that far out with
Uh,
quality with ceramics,
oh, like having
you
the
know,
schedule booked out.
yeah, having the schedule
Oh,
booked out.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I use a software system called YourAble. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've heard of that.
Heard of it.
Have you heard of YourAble?
Yeah, a lot of detailers use it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm good friends with Michael Havens, the owner, and that thing works phenomenal. Because you get them. I enter that information in, it immediately sends them a text notifying them that they've been scheduled. It sends a reminder text 24 hours beforehand. We follow up with a phone call the day before as well, and then it sends out auto reminders for ceramic maintenance as well. So
Okay.
that is, when I book it out, I can see the total up in the corner as far as what we have booked out for the coming month or coming week, coming days, whatever. So looking at November when we have $7,800 already booked into November, it's been a while since I've had that number of ceramics booked out to that extent.
Yeah. Because I remember when we first started talking, I remember you mentioned you were doing a lot of the detailing jobs and not necessarily the coatings, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's this business, as you're well aware, we charge what $350 to do a standard exterior wash,
Yeah.
plate, polish, sealant. And I almost laugh sometimes when we have a busy day, not
Uh-huh.
necessarily with coatings, but a couple of interiors, couple exteriors, maybe a couple maintenance washes, and
Mhm.
we may do 1,000 or $1,200 for the day, but
Yeah.
we dealt with 8 different customers. That's 8 different people. Something can go wrong. That's 8 invoices to put into QuickBooks. as opposed to one coating for $1,200, right?
Yeah.
One person to deal with, one invoice. It changes the whole dynamic. This business gets so much easier and more profitable when those ceramics go up, obviously,
Yeah.
and my service manager's done a good job of upselling. When I bring him in at the 595, he's got a couple of them upsold to at least a 3 year. He's added wheels on for $200-300, so it's firing on all cylinders.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I don't assume because I run bad business, I don't run yours. But when you say being more profitable, like things being easier, and actually being that far booked out with 700-800 on the books for November, like what difference does that actually make for the business?
Oh, I mean, well, the margins are so much better. I can kick my guys' bonuses because the margins increase exponentially.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, because I'm not there running day-to-day operations,
Mhm.
um, I get stressed out when we don't have stuff booked. That's my job. That's my job. It's my guy's job to turn out quality work and make sure the customers are happy. It's my job to make sure the customers are there.
Yeah.
So when we approach a week that doesn't have a whole lot going on, I feel like I'm failing.
Uh,
That's my job, is to make sure we have stuff in there. So when we start booking out like we are, I feel like I could take a little bit of a breath, that I'm not as stressed about making sure we have stuff. So it just, again, it's a positive cycle, in terms of it takes the stress off me. And I actually, my sales do better when I know we already have stuff booked. 'Cause I'm not as, I don't want to say worried about it, but I'm not as dependent on, boy, I really need to get this book so we have some stuff. We already have stuff. So I can feel it in myself that I'm a little looser in my sales presentation, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And I close more. So again, it's all a positive spin, as things go.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. And because I remember too, when we talked in the past, I know one of the most important things for you was actually being able to give back to your guys and give bonuses because, like you said, it's tough working at the shop, it's hot, etc. Like
yeah,
being able to give them that bonus, like how does that actually feel this month?
it feels amazing. It feels amazing because, like I said, so, when we talk about a busy day with details,
Yeah.
interiors, and so forth, and we did $1,200, but we dealt with the 8 customers that I mentioned, the guys are there for a full 8 hours. I
Uh,
mean, and you know, without taking workman's comp and everything into effect, just straight, hourly with some taxes, call it, 25-30 bucks an hour. I got 3 guys there. They work 8 hours, right? So if we talk 30 bucks an hour, 3 guys, we're talking $90 an hour on 8 hours. That's $720
uh,
in labor.
uh,
All right. So if we did 1,500 bucks, my labor rate's through the roof,
yeah.
right? 2 coatings, my guys knock those out and they're curing overnight. They're out of there by 2 o'clock.
Oh wow.
So now we've done $2,400. My guys were only there for 5 hours. I mean, the margins are just
Yeah.
tremendously different. And
Yeah.
that enables me to kick stuff back to it. When I'm running a labor rate of 50-60%, that's not leaving much left over.
Yeah.
When I'm running a labor rate of 25%, you know, and they know, they're not stupid. They
Uh,
can see that we did, $2,500 and they were out of there by 2 o'clock. You
yeah.
know, they can do the math.
Yeah.
So it it creates a positive environment all the way around. When I just start handing out hundreds, or I put bonuses on their check or whatever. If customers pay cash, sometimes I'll give them
Uh,
bonuses in cash. Otherwise, it'll come in on their check and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I got $400 or $500, whatever."
And plus, you need to.
yeah.
And yeah, bless you. This is Jason, my girlfriend
Hi.
Christine.
Hi, nice to meet you.
She works very hard. She goes, plus you need to support me, but she works her ass off. So,
I'm sure.
so
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, it's just I couldn't be happier with it, brother. Like I said, little stressful, in terms of making sure I get this college because I put pressure on myself.
yeah.
But that's a pressure I'll take all day long.
Exactly. Because who really grows in their comfort zone, right?
I'm sorry.
Because like who really grows in their comfort zone, right? Growing
Yeah, you don't. You
easy.
have to get outside that comfort zone and be uncomfortable, and that's when you grow. And as
Yeah.
long as I've been doing this, I always enjoy new challenges,
Mhm.
And again, if the biggest problem in quotations. Biggest problem I have is returning calls for leads on coatings. I'll take that problem all day long.
Okay.
You know, as opposed to, you know, getting into your able and looking what we have booked out for the week and we've got like, you know, $500. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I got to go to work because I need to go into the database and hit up past customers. And that's where I feel my job to generate that. So when the leads come in like this and I can get those leads booked, I don't feel that pressure to go back into the database and start, you know, hitting up regular customers just so we have stuff coming in.
Yeah.
So the dynamic of it, it changes everything.
And that's really interesting you mentioned that because you've talked about, you know, pressure, stress, not like being able to take that off your shoulders and not have to deal with that pressure and stress. Like, what difference has that actually like made for you on like a day to day?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge because I'll end up putting myself in a bad mood,
Really?
you know, which she doesn't like, but no. No, it literally weighs on me. It literally weighs on me. I can be having a great day,
Huh?
but if we don't have in there what I think we should or what I'm comfortable with, it's like a cloud. It's really like a cloud hanging over me.
Yeah.
You
How
know,
long
because-
have you been having to deal with that? Where it's like the stress you're putting into that. Like, has that always been the case, or is that more recently?
Probably more recently. You know, I want to say 21. Let me turn the speaker up a little bit. Oh no. You know, 2022, we killed it. 23 was okay. My labor rate was probably too high. This year was the first year. I have an interesting backstory, but I reopened my business about 12 years ago. I'd closed it for a couple of years. 24 is the first year up to this point. We're October, beginning of September. I was actually down in numbers by about 17%. That's the first year since I've opened. I actually had a decline. We were growing anywhere from 10 to 20% every year. And as a small business, man, when you're down 10, 15, 20%, you got to pivot really quick, you know. And I had to let one of my guys go, so I'm down to 3. I had 4. But I've already told you how I feel about my guys. I didn't want to let them go, you know. And so I was taking the hit, you know, because we really didn't have enough work to sustain the 4 guys. But I kept him on, and all the while I'm just getting kind of smashed, you know, on the numbers. So getting these coatings in and flipping that script a little bit, it just meant the world, you know. It's been huge.
Meant the world?
Been huge. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like besides obviously the fact that you saw one of our ads, what was the main reason that you even, you know, looked into possibly working with us, or even just looked into like possible outside help with marketing in the first place?
Well, I knew that this type of marketing works, you know, when you know what you know. I don't know. The extent of my Facebook prowess was boosting a post for $10. That's not my forte. But when you know the organic marketing, the demographics, and you know all that stuff, and you can target that, I know that works. As I told you before with the previous company, it wasn't working for me the way they were doing it. But that didn't. I have a degree in marketing, so I know that's the advertising. And even though I'm old school, I started this years ago. You know, back with a phone book and 4-page ad, 4-color ads, and the yellow pages. That obviously that stuff's all gone. This is where the marketing takes place now. Yeah. I don't have the knowledge, nor do I care to learn how to do it. When there's someone such as yourself that is an expert in that area. Even though with the previous guy, I wasn't happy with how some of it was going, it didn't dissuade me from believing in the process. And the amount of time you took and the intensive questioning that you asked me, and the dedication to detail that you had, that's what ultimately convinced me that this might be a good avenue to go towards. And it's been good, man. It's been good.
I do have to ask though, because I'm curious if we had just kind of continued with the word of mouth that we were doing like this past year, with sales being down like 17% and nothing really changed with the marketing, like you and I hadn't met, how likely do you think it would have been that you guys would be able to kind of turn things around and get to this point where you can start giving bonuses back to you guys?
I don't think it would have.
Oh, well, why not?
It's the old saying: if nothing changes, nothing changes. You
Uh-huh.
know, do the same thing, expect a different result. Definitely.
You'd be surprised how many details do the same thing and then
No, and I,
Right.
I knew, I knew, I had done everything I could do in terms of follow up with customers and reaching out to other customers. I could, as versus say 22 when it was really banging, the phone just wasn't ringing as much. People and the economy's down. It is. Things are more expensive. And what I provide, I mean, if I get you on the phone, I'll convince you it's a need, right? But getting them on the phone was more difficult. People were more price conscious. They were price shopping more. And so all those factors playing in, I just didn't see it turning around, you know, to where I was comfortable with it, which caused me to, to reach out to you.
Yeah.
So I again, as a marketing major, I'm well aware that you don't ever stop advertising, and the old adage, well, when it gets slow, you advertise more, right? Because that's which is all fine and dandy, except when you're slow, your disposable income is down, and the money available to advertise is simply smaller.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, yes. When it's slow, you ramp up your advertising to offset that. You don't just stop. That's a horrible thing for a business to do. But I needed to be smart about what we did, and the ROI here is tremendous.
Yeah, because when things do slow down, like a lot of detailers do actually, kind of shrink back from the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know you mentioned that it's important to go faster because like what actually would have been more risky? Like going slow on the marketing and just playing safe and things
Right.
that or actually taking a chance on the market. Like which one would have been more risky?
To me, well, yeah, trying to slow it down. That's riskier,
Yeah.
because now you've shrunk back from where you were,
Huh.
which is going to make it even worse. So it's a hard mentality to overcome,
It is for sure.
and you got to have the money to do so as well. And earlier this year, I got hit with a workman's comp audit because my payroll had got up in 23. Remember, I said I didn't give this fast enough, and I ended up owing a bunch of money. And so I was paying that off, and the sales were down, and the coatings weren't coming in. I was like, man, been doing this a long time. I should be having to work this hard at this, But that's the nature of business.
Yeah.
It's
But
just the
kudos
way.
to you for still taking the leap and going ahead and actually trying out something like this.
I'm sorry.
So kudos to you to still being willing to like
Uh,
try something like this. Not
yeah,
other retailers would.
no, I have a hard time just sitting back
Yeah.
and accepting. I would say if you're going to own a business, you better have another gear, and you better be willing to take some risks. And even wrapping up, the amount of work I'm doing now, um, it's satisfying, because that it relieves that stress off me and keeps things flowing, So yeah, it's been a great thing.
For those detailers though, just curious, because like those detailers that are afraid to kind of take the risk, because there are some, bad, just like there's some bad installers out there don't do a good job. There's some bad agencies out there that don't really do the best here.
Right.
Was kind of on the fence thinking about working with me or really just investing in marketing in their business. Like, what would you tell that person if you could really offer some words of wisdom to them?
As far as utilizing the marketing,
Or just even being on the fence working with me.
oh, I'd say, what do you have against increasing your sales and making more money and returning more money to your guys? I mean, if that's something that's offensive to you, then don't don't move forward. You know, I mean, obviously going off my experience, if I were to tell somebody, hey, we got, I mean, we're at 85 leads right now. I would imagine even if it slows down a little bit, we'll still end up at 100 a quarter. And if the last 2 weeks of this month repeat the first 2 weeks, we're at over 150.
Yeah.
So I would tell somebody you have something against multiple quality leads for ceramics. I mean, if you do, then I'm not sure why you're in this business. I mean, it's like your financial manager and you encounter high net worth individuals. You don't want to approach them, but what are you doing? Why, why are you even in business then?
Yeah,
Because
fair.
this isn't, $200 interior details.
Uh,
It's ceramics. And anyone that's in this business knows that's where the margins are, you know? So if you're not focusing on that, then I'm not quite sure what you're doing, you know, quite
yeah.
honestly. I mean, I monitor very close, and I'd be curious to see, over time, everything we do goes into QuickBooks. So I break down our sales according to exteriors, interiors, ceramics, percentages. And I'll be curious over time, our ceramics have been hovering right around 48, 50%. I'll be curious to see where it ends up. I mean, I haven't done it for October yet because October's not over. I mean, I could do it now, but um, I would hazard a guess it's going to be closer to 60, 65% of our revenue. It's probably going to be up at least 15, 20%. And that's huge. That's huge.
I know we've
That's,
done, I know we've done like 12K in the past 2 weeks. What do you see like the goals now for the business? Where do you see the business moving forward in the next month, 3 months, 6 months? What do you really have in mind?
I don't know because I'm a little surprised
Huh?
if when we first started talking, I think you probably asked me, hey, what would make you happy? I think you
Mhm.
did ask me this. What would make you happy in terms of the return that you would be satisfied with what we're doing? And I think I probably said 10, 15 grand, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're at 12.5 over 2 weeks. So, even if things continue, even if things calm down a little bit, to answer your question, I don't know, man. I mean, if I can dial in my organizational portion of it and return those calls a little quicker,
Yeah.
still refine my sales a little bit more. I could tell when I'm really on point and other times where I could have probably gone a different direction and get that a little more dialed in. I I don't know, man. I mean, 15, 20 grand a month.
Huh.
I mean, yeah, I don't and we were already doing 30,
Yeah.
so if we were to get up into the, and hit that 50,000 a month, I'd be thrilled, you know.
Get into that actual 50,000 a month. What difference would that actually like make? Is it just more bonuses for the guys, or what do you have in
More
mind?
bonuses for the guys, reinvest more into the business,
Huh?
and more in savings, just
Yeah.
build a bigger cushion there.
Yeah. And then
Yeah. She's got some ideas back there.
maybe a nice steak dinner when I stop by to visit.
Absolutely.
Probably
And
next summer.
you're based out of where? New Jersey?
I'm in Jersey.
You're in Jersey? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll
So
probably come by next summer or something. We'll
that'd
find
be
it.
fantastic, man. Well, you timed it right because we live at the beach. I said we moved. We were already here at the beach. Now it's dark outside, but if I open the curtains, we're looking at the ocean. So it's you pick a nice area to visit. That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, I know you're down from the beach, so I do have to come check it out.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So
By the
yeah.
way,
So obviously, we'll stay in touch.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I'm also curious because, we got a lot of leads, right?
Right.
But just full transparency, like there are some clients that, they can close really well and we absolutely knock it out of the park. And then there's some other clients who, you send them leads, but they can't really close a door for lack of
Right.
better way of describing it. So for you, like tactically, what are some of the keys to your success? Like what really makes you so good at closing leads when someone else might be struggling? Like what are you doing to get these people over the finish line?
I prep. So what I hear from
Mhm.
people I close is that so my conversations are 10 to 15 minutes, you
Yeah.
know. And I just talked to a guy the other day. He talked to five other guys, five other detailers, and he went with me because I took the time to explain to him what it is we do, what the ceramic accomplishes. And I was doing a lot of that, and I know the script, has that as well. But I was doing that a lot anyhow. I also establish how long we've been in business, how many cars we've coded. So when someone's sending me their $100,000 Raptor, they're not wondering, does this guy know what he's doing? Well, we just coded our 2000th vehicle. We've detailed over 30,000 vehicles. We just recently coded our 2000th vehicle. I'd love to show you how amazing your truck can look. So there's a confidence aspect there. And then taking the time to explain to them. And I'll tell them, hey, this isn't $150 wash and wax. I want to make sure you understand the benefits of this and what we're going to accomplish. The other thing I do that I don't know that others do, and the feedback I've gotten from the customers is we have them come back 5 to 7 days later for a complimentary follow-up wash. About half of them actually take us up on it. Mm-hmm. But by saying that, I say, Steve, we do a lot more than just hand you your key fob and say, hey, good luck. I'd love to have you come back in 5 to 7 days. I want to do a complimentary wash for you. I want to show the coating is set up the way I anticipated it to, and that it's doing everything it's supposed to. Yeah. That tells them that I'm not just looking for the fast buck, that I'm actually invested in making sure that we do what we say we're going to do. And the same thing, with your Able and the software system. I said, you're going to receive a notification 6 months. If you'd like to come back in for some ceramic maintenance, there's not a legitimate coating company in the world that doesn't perform some type of maintenance on their coatings. There's no coating that exists that you can coat it and walk away and not do anything for 5 years. It just doesn't happen. And if somebody tells you that it does, they're being dishonest with you. I'm talking a little bit faster with you than I do with the customer, but just to get So those are some of the things that I tell them that instill some confidence in them. I have experience. I'm not handing them their key and walking away, that we're going to follow up with them. And those things, and the last thing I'll usually end up saying is once they book, I get deposit. I cannot wait to make your vehicle look amazing. Yeah. And so it's that whole confidence, and not a question, like it should come out really nice. So I'm going to knock it out of the park. It's going to look better than the day you bought it in the showroom. Yeah. And it does. I mean, I'm confident in doing that, and I'll tell you, if you pull up and you look at your vehicle and you say, oh my God, that looks amazing, then I've dropped the ball somewhere.
So you can really hear in your voice too. Like, it just sounds like you know what you're doing. Like, if I hand you the vehicle, I could trust this guy.
Right. And that's what I hear. I feel the lady at the motorhome today had talked to 3 other detailers, and I talked to her and she goes, thank you for taking the time to explain what you do and how you do it. She goes, let's go ahead and set it up. So I think some guys just run through it too fast, because they get built. How much is a coating? $10.95. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And you can price off the bat like that. A lot of times they're
you might as well just kiss it off, So, obviously I don't let them get away with that. I'll delve back into, well, there's different levels, Mm-hmm. Are you planning on keeping the vehicle less than 3 years or beyond that? Oh, beyond that. Fantastic. We have a top level package. It's 5+ year coating. I explain what the coating is, what it does. Unlike a wax or sealant that sits up on top of the paint, the coating cross-links and bonds with the clear coat, like an English muffin. An English muffin is porous. That coating fills in those pores, gives us that sacrificial layer, that slickness, and that gloss that we're looking for. So I go into that whole thing. And so by the time I've wrapped it up, that's how I'm usually close to closing at that point if they're serious about doing it.
That's definitely very strong. That's a meaty pitch. And then what about at the end when it's like, you've gone through the pitch and someone's at the finish line, but they're not quite there yet, right? What are some of the objections you've been running into, and like, how do you overcome those?
So I'll do, I'm sure you're well aware in marketing, I'll do a trial close. So that gentleman I just booked today, he said he had some stuff going on the next week or two. I said, so did what I described, does that sound like what you were looking to have done? He goes, yeah, it absolutely does. I said, well, fantastic. I'd love to do it for you. I know you mentioned your Mercedes, is that red? I go, man, Joshua, I would love to make that thing just pop for you and blow you away with it. Mm-hmm. So why don't we look at saying like November the 15th? I said, I have a slot available at that time, about 8:00. Why don't we go ahead and set that up for you? And I just look forward to making your vehicle look amazing. And he's like, yeah, Neil, sounds good. Yeah. Whereas before I probably said, okay, well, let me know. Let me know when you want to get something going. Now I'll just.
Almost like pushing, but not even pushing. You're just facilitating it. You're
just facilitating, and so in marketing, when you talk a trial close, and I actually suggest a date and a time, it brings it into fruition. It brings it into a reality, as opposed to, well, is there a time in the next couple of weeks that's good for you? No. I'll literally pull my calendar out and start looking and say, hey, you know what? Why don't we go on, the 17th of November? I have a slot available at 9:00. Let's get you booked in there. Oh, you know what? Thursdays don't work as well for me. Hey, not a problem. Let's roll to the next day. Is Friday better for you?
No.
And that's actually what worked today, because I put him on a Tuesday. He goes, Fridays are better for me. I said, not a problem. Let's do that Friday then. And that way we have you all set up and you can look forward to your car looking amazing in 3 weeks.
If I can offer like a suggestion,
Yeah.
maybe adding even an extra step in that process would help as well. So for instance, you ask him, sounds good. Is this something that you're actually looking to get done for your car? He says yes. Then I would just ask him, okay, what makes you say that? Or like, well, why would this be something you're looking to get done for your car? So just
Right.
get them to tell you one more time, oh,
Right.
it's gonna make my car look amazing. I want to see it shine. Get them to tell you one more time why they want this
Okay.
done. And then at
Okay.
the end, it'll be so much easier to push them to move forward because again, they're selling themselves into why they need
Right.
to.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any like maybe last minute tips that you would want to pass on to any of the other detailers out there in terms of like actually getting more coatings booked and getting in over the finish line?
Take your time. Take your time talking to the customer. Don't sound rushed. Don't sound like you're just pushing a number on them. Like I said, it's not $150 wash and wax. This is $600, $1,200. That motorhome was $2,200. You're talking a lot of money, and the economy is slower. Things are more expensive. So take your time and talk to the customer. Make them believe in you, that you're not just there to take their money, that you truly want to do a good job for them. You truly want their car to look amazing. And by the way, this is the price, right? Not so much price central, And if someone's, I'll tell somebody, maybe to my own detriment, like, well, I just never had a coating before. I'm not sure if it's for me. I'll say, hey, you know what? Let's not go with that top package. Let's not push it at the 5+ years. Let's get your feet wet a little bit. We have an excellent coating for $595. Let's get you in there just so you can see how you like it and you can see the benefits of it. And then a year from now, 18 months from now, when you're amazed by it, which I know you will be, then we can go with the higher level coating if you plan on keeping the car. That tells them I'm not just trying to smack them for the money. Because I literally just told them, hey, we don't need the $1,200. You're not comfortable with the $1,200 job. Yeah. So let's bump it down a little bit, Now when they come in, we're going to try to ramp it back up. But it's at the time, and I'm being sincere with that. If someone's unsure, that gosh, I've just never done a coating before, $1,200 is a lot of money. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So let's do this. Let's go down here. But again, we upsell the windshield or the rims, we end up close to $1,000 anyway. But I was honest and transparent, So
something that can help too is like, the 1,200, that's a lot, but I can tell that you're serious about getting this done and you're the type of person who cares about their car. So let's do this. So you can also label them a little bit as like, hey, I can tell you're serious about this. I can tell you're a smart guy that takes care of the car.
Right.
Maybe this will make more sense instead. That can help. Yes, they kind of attach themselves to that identity.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.